Hey folks, I'm Dr. Shawn Baker. Hey, this is a great video. Many people are starting to get interested in carnivore. More people are trying to do this. Remember, I wrote the actual first book on the carnivore diet. I, in fact, came up with that term, the carnivore diet. So I've got probably more experience than just about anyone on the planet with this particular diet. And so I'd like to share my experience with you guys and talk to you guys about how I think it might help for you to get started. Now, there's some things you're going to have to work at, understand, and things you can stop worrying about. Set aside your goals for a while, and let's just focus on adapting and transitioning to the diet. Becoming fully adapted to the carnivore diet can require anywhere from 30 days to perhaps 90 days for some people. It's a good idea to commit for at least that long in your mind just to get started. Now, many systems in the body will need to return to what I would think is a more normal function. Your enzymes, stomach acidity will get stronger, teeth and jaw muscles may get stronger. Perhaps you may develop a keto adaptation. You may see a drop in exercise energy at first, but your body adapts to burning fat for fuel in a better way, and you'll see energy improve. You'll have better endurance over time, most likely. Carnivore is a big shift physically, but also psychologically. Now, many of us come to view food as entertainment, food used as a soothing mechanism to calm nerves, anxiety, or boredom. Food can be addictive, and a lot of people are addicted to different types of food, particularly processed food, and just kind of realizing, accepting, coming to terms with who we are as a human species and returning to our roots, so to speak. Now, the carnivore diet is very different from other diets, and this is one of the simplest, most straightforward diets that's ever been devised. Now, you don't typically need to count calories, particularly not in the beginning. There's no need to keep track of macronutrients. You don't need to weigh your food. You don't need to stay hungry all the time like you do on many diets where you're constantly thinking about food and constantly hungry. In fact, you should aim to not be hungry and to be full after your meals. The single biggest thing that I see people doing wrong at first is not getting enough to eat. Now, you have to eat enough to beat cravings. You know, how much do I eat? Well, eat enough so you don't want cupcakes or pizza or things like that that tend to cause problems for you. Now, if you're full, you won't feel like eating those types of things. Now, meat, the protein and fat contained within is one of the most satiating food things on earth. Now, eating some variety at first is fine, and it may help you out if necessary, but it can help you to not get bored. There's beef, obviously. There's pork, chicken, goose, fish, seafood, eggs, bacon, and so much more that you can choose from. Dairy is one of those things that if you can tolerate pretty well, it generally is okay. Make sure you're getting adequate. Again, you may want to preference full-fat dairy initially, just so you get, again, adequate energy. Now, one of your goals over time should be to learn what your system thrives on and what causes you to have problems. Now, here are a couple examples. You might start out using some herbs and spices for variety, and then eventually eliminating them depending upon how you feel to that. Eat butter and cheese one week and then avoid the next and see if there's a difference for you. In my experience, of course, with myself and with thousands of others, beef is extremely nutritious and often one of the most satiating and often most preferred types of food. Now, despite anything you may have heard, you can survive indefinitely on just beef as long as it's got enough fat in there, and that's the deal. You got to have enough fat to run your machine energetically. The protein in beef is outstanding, and it is really a complete food. Now, make sure that the meat you're eating has enough fat, as I've mentioned. If it's too lean, then you're going to have to add some extra fat in, like a spoonful of bacon fat or tallow or something like that. It's both delicious, and your digestive tract is used to consuming that in many ways. Now, if you get diarrhea when you start, you may need to just go a little slower on the fat and not ramp it up so quickly. Sometimes you can overwhelm your system with that initially, particularly with those rendered fats. Now, you don't need to only eat grass-fed beef or certain cuts of beets or even organ meats. If you like to and you can afford it, that's fine for you. This diet will work fine with just supermarket ground beef if that's all you can afford. Now, make sure you drink enough water and consume electrolytes, typically in the form of salts, because when you stop eating carbohydrates, your body will start to diurese out sodium. Insulin is sending signals for the kidneys to hold on to sodium. We don't have insulin being secreted in as much quantities, and therefore our kidneys tend to let go of more sodium and we lose a bit more water. Also, the additional protein, the higher protein content of this diet also tends to require a little bit more water. Now, because you lose the water, you can often lose weight very quickly, and a lot of people say it's just water weight, but often that also coincides with drops in inflammation, swelling, and people just generally feel better. It can also result in a reduction in blood pressure. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, sometimes if you lose too much water, you can feel dehydrated, you can develop muscle cramps, so you need to make sure you get adequate water and, of course, adequate electrolytes to ensure you don't become dehydrated. Now, if you're a diabetic or taking many other medications, you might have to lower some of those medication uses. Diabetics often have to decrease insulin if they're on that, or decrease any other medications. Now, make sure you consult your healthcare professional when you're doing that. And the good news is, as Rivero stands up, we'll have healthcare physicians that are expertly trained on how to do that. It's a good idea perhaps to taper off your fiber and vegetable and fruit consumption gradually. Some people have a better transition with that. Remember, our gut microbiome is going to change over time, and that takes a little bit of time. Some people will experience quote unquote oxalate dumping as they rapidly decrease the amount of oxalates in their diet. You may find it helpful to participate in one of the online communities. There's many out there. The one I'm involved in is called Carnivore.diet, and we have daily meetings on there every single day, encouraging, asking and answering questions of people, and it's very, very helpful. In fact, one of the most important quote-unquote supplements to this diet is a support system. I think it's very, very important, and it's very beneficial. Most people do better with that. Now, remember, humans ate a lot of meat, a lot of fatty meat as we evolved, over a course of many, many, many years, enough that we changed our anatomy to the point that we actually process this stuff very well. Your body still knows how to do this now. Now, let me know how you guys have been progressing in the comments section. If you'd like to see how the carnivore diet has helped people with anorexia, for instance, take a minute to check out this video here. Welcome to the carnivore community, guys. I look forward to hearing how much you improve. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.